ahead and introduce yourself and who you are, where you're from, and what's behind you.
Hey, good morning. My name's Shane, and I'm from Limitar, New Mexico. We've got a little shop down there. We build different custom trucks, do a lot of frame stretching, kind of a farm shop that expanded a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, huh? All right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what do you got behind you there?
This is, we call it the Peterboat. And then the truck that pulls it, and it's also got a jet ski lift on the back that picks the skis up out of the water and sets them on the back of the truck.
All right, right on. So what's the inspiration for this truck?
You know, that's probably the hardest question I could answer. We get asked all the time, how did you think of that? And, you know, I don't really remember. We sit around and talk, and ideas run through our heads, and for some reason we just ran with this one.
All right, right on. So let's look at the truck a little bit closer. We got some inspirations here and some things. Who's Pedro?
Pedro, we kind of call him a Mexican Peterbilt. Peter and Pedro, it's just kind of, the name fit the truck. He's just an old raggy Peterbilt built out of junkyard parts.
Cool. You said junkyard parts, so how many trucks you got into this truck to make one?
The best I could count, there's over 20.
20 trucks. So you remember what came from what?
A little bit, yeah.
All right, so what came from what?
So the hood and frame came from one truck, the cab came from another, the rear end's out of an International, and then most of the other little parts I don't remember. We just wandered through the backyard and picked up what we needed and put it on the truck.
Okay, right on. Including the pipes? I see welds in the pipes. What's going on there?
Well, we didn't want to go out and buy new pipes, and we had pieces laying in the backyard, and I thought, well, a few welds in the stacks won't matter at this point. It kind of fits the theme of the truck.
Right on. Okay, very cool. Let's look inside.
Yep.
So what do we got working on inside here?
Well, just different mismatched interior pieces. We put an old pallet wood floor in it just to kind of help keep the noise down from that old transmission. Mexican blanket seat covers, just cheap and easy and fun.
Right on. So you're not saying you don't have hush mat underneath your pallets there?
Oh yeah.
Is there a hush mat?
Oh yeah. And they wanted me to put straights, but this old 8V92 is so loud. You know, it's fun to hear it in the parking lot, but after a half hour on the road, you're just deaf.
Right on. We're going to have to get it started up before we leave here.
Okay.
Now, I've seen some guys wrap their shifter. Is there a significance with wrapping a shifter?
Well, just to add to the old Mexican theme, but also because this is a 12.513 and they're notorious for howling when you're going down the road. And I was kind of trying to get some of that howl out of there.
Awesome. Oh, look at that. What do we have there in the passenger seat? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, we're throw it there. Whose truck is that book?
I met a couple famous people this morning. I got that book off of.
Right on. Collaboration between Stephanie Haas and myself.
Yep.
All right, so as we move further along, I've not seen a jet ski lift on a truck before, so work us through the mechanics of what you got going on here.
Well, we got the idea from the roll-off trucks that carry dumpsters. You know, they pick them up off the ground and set them on the truck. And we actually probably built that lift 3 different times before we got the geometry right. We may have more time just in that lift than we did building the boat.
Right, nice.
But it works pretty good, actually. It sets the skis completely level.
Okay, so it's actually just like a roll-off truck that will bring it up a cart or a container off the ground.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then we didn't want to put a PTO on the truck, so we used the power steering pump as our hydraulic source to.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty crafty.
Yep. These 2 little levers of. The 8V92 came out of a big Kenworth wrecker, and so it had a huge pump, plenty of power.
Now, who came up with that thought process?
It just kind of evolved as we built the truck. You have a need for something, and you find the parts laying around, and sometimes the parts kind of put themselves together if you let them.
Yeah, but especially though, my thought was, whose idea was it to say, hey, well, let's rob some power off the power steering pump. I mean, it is, hydraulic, but
Yep.
who was brave enough to say that deal?
That was me, and I was a little afraid because I'd never seen it done before. But now that I've done it, I have seen some other trucks that use the power steering for auxiliary power.
Awesome.
But when you're going down the road, it's completely disconnected, so there's no safety issue.
Okay, got it.
A lot of people like these fenders. We took steering axle fenders and split them in half and then used the center strip from the old 359 hoods. And I just like, when I'm building a truck, I like to step back and look and see symmetry. We got something the same over the back wheel as we do over the front. And that was the inspiration for those.
That's pretty cool. I like that too.
Yeah.
Well, we got some noise coming by here. Let's just turn and take a look at this truck as it passes by.
That's old Rod.
Of course, we got to mention where we are. Where are we?
We're at what do they call this town? The biggest little town?
Yep. Reno,
Yep. We're in Reno at the ATHS Nationals.
Okay. Now, moving further back, this craft was seen on the internet.
Yes.
And so you might as well, let's go ahead and run everyone through its conception and everything like that, and what you want folks to know about it.
Okay, sounds good. Like I say, I still don't remember exactly what inspired it. We've always loved the lake and boats, and I grew up around airplanes and trucks, so it was just a crazy idea. And one day we bought a pontoon boat used for $1,200 and started mocking truck parts up on it. And the further we got, the better we liked it. So the biggest thing I like people to know is that it's built from junkyard parts. We didn't spend thousands and thousands of dollars doing it. Lots of people think we have way more money and time than we should, but these are all pieces of trucks that were rejected because they weren't good enough to put on my customers' trucks. So there's a little piece of a lot of my different customers in the whole boat.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's really come together well. From the running lights here, you got penny lights here. What boat has chicken lights?
Yeah, and then the old turn signals, they double now as navigation lights. We got green on the right and red on the left.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And there's a lot of imperfections. You can see, if you start looking close, the grill's not perfect. It's got, it was built for fun, not for show.
Right.
And then, as we were sure we wanted to paint it red, but I thought it was really genius. Roger came up with the idea. It's a boat. It's got to have bass boat flake in it. And that really just, to me, made the paint job.
Yeah, that sets that off incredibly well.
Yeah.
Now, what other things do you have in this that your regular pontoon boat doesn't have?
We got a lot of space under the hood that we're not quite sure what to do with yet. It's going to end up with a little toilet in the back, but a lot of pontoon boats do have that. It's a porta potty with a pull-up stanchion, a little grill, refrigerator. Most pontoon boats probably don't have tilt column steering, but all the original Peterboat controls are still in it.
Nice. Well, let's go up there and have a look.
Let's do it.
Now, also, what do you got for them? We're looking at the back end here. What do you got for a motor in there?
It's a little diesel 4-cylinder Cummins out of a bread truck, and we figured it's a truck boat. It's got to have a diesel. So it's not finished yet, but when it is finished, the exhaust from the engine will be routed into the stacks.
Nice.
You got to make a little smoke out on the water.
Is that right? Isn't that like a saying, smoke on the water?
I think so.
Now, how did you guys work around getting the steering wheel to work with the rudder and everything?
It actually works pretty easy. The original outboard motor has a cable system that comes forward to the pontoon boat steering, and we just adapted that. We ran the Peterboat steering straight through the floor, and it ties into the cable.
Nice.
Yep.
And now, what about your gauges? Are we looking at gauges that do something, or are we?
Yep, those are actually marine gauges that we just ordered off the internet, and we had to build our own panels because we didn't want so many holes that the old Peterboat dash had. The cab's been stripped of all the heavy cross members underneath. It's basically just a shell.
Okay.
I don't think we added a whole lot of weight, much more than the original boat was.
Right on. Now you said that the boat is not done yet, which I understand. So I'm looking here and I'm thinking that the Davis brothers needs to get their hands on this deal and finish off this stereo system there, right?
I'm thinking you're right.
Yeah.
Yep, that would tickle Roger to no end.
I know, right? Right, so now back here we got the engine.
Yep. We've had so many people in and out of the boat. Our carpet's kind of trash, but it's just fun to see the little kids come up here. The delight on their faces.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Right. So what was it like getting the engine mounted in here? What was that like?
It was actually pretty easy because the original boat was a little Chevy 4-cylinder, and the bread truck engine had a Chevrolet transmission behind it, so that deal was pretty much bolt up. We did have to have an adapter machined from the flywheel to the input shaft, but it fits pretty good.
Okay. So looking back here, this looks pretty comfy. It looks like a good time.
Yep, I think so. I can't wait to get it on the water. I've given my customers' projects priority over my own toys, and honestly, after our first truck show with this thing and the amount of time and effort we put into it, we were all kind of sick of it. We needed a break.
Right on.
Yep.
Now, looking out here, this is Sunday at the ATHS show. What's your take on the show, and why do you like coming to shows like this?
For me, the trucks and the people, I feel like this is one of the best groups of people you could ever hang around. I've been to all different kinds of shows, car shows, boat shows, Rocky Mountain elk shows, and just these people are used to working for a living. They've got just down to earth. Your kids can run around. They treat you like they've never met a stranger, and I enjoy that. I like working and being around people like that. There's just every different type of truck you can imagine, and it doesn't matter what shape it's in. They could have just dragged it out of a field or a barn, or they could have spent years making it beautiful. And the people aren't so critical here. They just enjoy what other people brought. You could see anything here, from a chain drive Sterling from the 30s all the way up to a brand new Peterbilt, and it's neat to see that all in one show.
Awesome. All right, Shane. Well, thanks a lot for giving me a tour here and giving the viewers a tour. And hope to see this out in the water at some point, and you guys are having a good time with it.
Oh yeah, and we will definitely keep you informed. We'll get pictures when it's floating.
Right on.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Great to meet you, Chris.
All right.